Take ease and make gains. I'm super excited to do this podcast episode, number 22, with you. I have four things I want to bring to you today in this solo episode. We've had lots of interviews. January was really all dedicated to interviews. So we're back with me doing kind of the first Thursday of the month. Attempting to get the month kicked off right and sending some encouragement as well as offering some lessons, hopefully, things that you can grab and think about. And so, with this title of Take Ease and Make Gains, there's four things that I really want to get across in this solo episode this week. One, I'm going to talk more about the Take Ease coaching program, and I'm really just going to give you a little bit more details. So, for those who are interested, you get that information and you find out where you need to go. If you are watching this on video, if you see the little ticker scrolling across, it does give you the URL, which is just the patreon.com/finding your voice, where you can sign up for the monthly coaching program. And then I'll explain ways if you'd rather pay in full. If this is resonating with you, I'll offer that. So we'll go through that just for a moment, just for a few minutes. That's not the bulk. And then after that, I want to give you three ways to take ease and make gains. Okay, three ways to take ease and make gains. So before I do that, though, I want to tell you a little bit more about this program. And so, I do this podcast. I love this podcast. It's an extension of me, it's an extension of what I do, not only with others and, highlighting, helping people find their voice, but also just for myself, the way that I am blessed to be able to have a career that's very much in alignment with my purpose. Um, but I had to really work in that space. And I'm going to talk more about that today. Do we always need to have careers that line up with our purpose? Or can we just kind of have a job or work and it not necessarily be in alignment? Well, I have thoughts about that. So we'll get to that. But first, I want to just talk a little bit more, give you some bullet points about the Take Ease program and Mexico Getaway. So, if you sign up for this program, just first of all, understand this is a coaching program. It's specifically for African American women who are actually not African American, Black women. So, if you are of African descent, but not necessarily American, you are welcome as well. But this is specifically for Black women who are 40 plus. Now, if you're a couple years younger than that, we will gladly bring you in if this is a space you really want to go. But this is a monthly coaching program, and it's limited spots. We only have a total of 12 spots. I will not be taking any more than 12 women, and that's very intentional. I believe right now, at the time of recording, we have we just are launching, so we have 9 spots left. And we will be kicking this off. The individual sessions will begin in March, but the group actual coaching will begin in April. And so we'll be taking registration, but prices change. And we have a very, very, very good deal right now because, again, this program does include not just your coaching, but a trip to Mexico, and not to Cancun, not to Playa, to a more quaint space. So just some bullet points about the program. Your fee does include all of the following: your monthly group coaching calls, your individual one-to-one calls, or Zoom meetings. You also get an ebook, Finding Alignment, and you'll also get a hardback copy of the new book, Rest is Resistance, a manifesto by Tricia Hersey. This is it's part of a I really want to incorporate this as an outstanding book. I could do a whole episode on. Tricia Hersey is the founder of the NAP Ministry. So those of you who follow the NAP Ministry, you already know. You already know the goods. And so that will be included in your package, as well as any handouts and modules and so forth. And you'll have full access to all of our Patreon membership incentives, and that includes astrology workshops, one-on-one check-ins, a monthly health topic meetup, weekly woosah. So there's a lot that's involved with that. Really, these monthly coaching topics are related to personal health, wealth, and relationships, which I'm going to dig more into this episode. And it's really a chance for you to develop goals, strategies, action plans, toolkits to really get you to begin to have significant breakthroughs and transformation. You really should only be doing this program if you are in a space of your life where you are tired, you are sick and tired of being tired. You know that? Sick and tired of being tired. And you want a breakthrough. You want some transformation. You want something different. And you are finding that the more you do, it's not necessarily changing it. So it's for that person who wants an actual breakthrough, who is facing some type of space of feeling maybe stuck, whether that be within your relationships, whether that be within your career, or that be within your health journey, either if that's weight management or weight loss, or just wanting to be more consistent with your health habits and not being able to do it, not be able to have the breakthroughs. This is really who the program is for. And by doing the program, you will learn how to choose your own set of values and priorities and begin to shift your mindset and give up those things that interfere with those priorities. You'll also begin to learn how to align and create more flow within your career without giving it up, giving your whole life up to it. That's another issue. Or feeling guilt when you do release from work. You'll spend more time, you'll learn how to spend more time with your loved ones without neglecting you. How do we, in our relationships, give ourselves to our children, give ourselves to our partners and spouses and parents without losing ourselves? This program is going to teach you strategies to do that. And I'm going to share in a moment, again, those main ways to take ease and make gains. And then lastly, you'll learn how to add wellness and health in life through the hectic and challenging times. That's the kicker, right? We all listen, we over 40. We're over 40. We intellectually know, right? The issue is what's the how? The how. And that's really what the coaching program is about, is teaching you the how, and especially when things are getting more hectic. You'll also learn the importance of leisure and travel and hobbies and play and free time, and using that to fill your cup up and knowing that as your well-being too. Too often we are allowing our travel and our hobbies only to be set aside when we have Christmas vacation or whatever our job says we can take a week off or use our PTO. We have to start looking at leisure and hobbies and play and travel as literally like how when we brush our teeth, how when we bathe, how we have to start learning how to incorporate that in our lifestyle. That's such a huge part of our well-being, and that's a big part of the coaching program. And then obviously putting that all together so that you can have an action plan, have something written. And when you meet with me in the individual sessions, that's really what we're working on, is coming up with your blueprint. The group sessions are for you to have community, to share with each other, have accountability partners. I'll pose questions, affirmations, journaling in community. When we meet one-on-one, though, we're going to have very specific, you're going to lead that. Where are your goals? And I'm going to help you come up with the strategies that may be most helpful. And we work together. We collaborate. It's not me telling you what to do. It's you dreaming, you desiring, you wishing, and giving words to those thoughts, and us working together to support you in that journey toward that. So that's really what the Take Ease coaching program and the Mexico Getaway. What's beautiful about that, at the end of this 12-month coaching program, and actually it's a little bit less than 12 months, more like 11, but 12 including that individual month. But what it's really doing is we're celebrating you completing this and investing in yourself with a getaway to Mexico. And that's the goodie. So we will be at Ajijic, which is a small village right at Lake Chapala, right outside of Guadalajara in the southwest region of Mexico, probably about 30-minute flight away from Puerto Vallarta to give you context. And it's all inclusive. From the point you land, you are taken care of. Ground transportation, spa services, your food, your rest, all of that. 5-star resort. That's inclusive in your coaching program costs. So you will not pay anything additional once you sign up for the program. That actual trip is in February of 2024. It's going to be during that President's Day long weekend. And if this is like, yes, I need it in my life, then if you're watching the YouTube, you can see scrolling across there where to go, patreon.com/finding your voice. Um, it's also going to be obviously in the show notes if you are listening. And we always talk about our Patreon page. So you can sign up there. If you're wanting to pay in full, which is a big discount, we're giving almost $1,000 off actually with full payment right now as a special. Just email info@findingyourvoiceafter40.com and we'll talk a little bit and send you what you need to sign up. The spots are dwindling though. So this is not something where we just take until it's time to go. Okay. We take a certain number to keep it nice and intimate. All right, so let's now in our last 10, 20 minutes, I want to cover with you 3 ways to take ease and make gains. Okay? What do I mean when I'm talking about take ease? When you hear me say take ease, I'm talking about doing things in a way that has flow. Doing things in a way that is in alignment with your joy, with how you actually move, your temperament, and without hustle, rush, impulsivity, one that is just at ease. Now, you are human, right? We are human. So to think that 100% of the time we will just always be at ease, no. But I think right now a lot of people are living with maybe 5% of ease. And we're kind of in this all or nothing space. And I think really the goal is moderation always. It's always attempting to get in neutrality. It's always attempting to have some sense of flow where, we have some challenge, we have some resistance, but we also have some gifts and we have some celebrations. That's ease to me when there is flow. And when there's more flow than not. Okay. So it's not that life is always going to be like that, but can we have more ease than not? Because ultimately, when we take ease, that's when we have our gains. We have bought into a very heavy hustle culture. Workism is now a thing where we have allowed work to really dictate our identities, dictate our time, dictate our relationships, dictate our worth. And that's really not the point of work, right? And it's not to say, like I said earlier, I believe that I have created a career very much in alignment with my purpose. And that's mainly because I've done a lot of self work and exploration and discovery. And I have found that in order for me to engage in meaningful work, it really does need to be in alignment with my purpose and spirit. But that's not always the case. But you won't know that unless you actually take the time to begin to investigate that. And you're not going to investigate that. You're not going to have time to investigate that if you don't take some stillness and take ease, because you'll always be in movement mode. And this is what makes movement mode really unhealthy, because it never gives you a moment to pause so that, in fact, you can really get in stillness, which is really a divine space. It's really a space where we start to daydream, where we start to imagine, where we start to reflect, where we start to, let our minds get just a little bit more curious and a little bit more out there. But if we're always on a strict work schedule there's very little time to be able to reflect on who we actually are. And so the idea is the more we take ease, the more we're able to actually tap into who we are, tap into our wishes, tap into our desires, and sit in them in a way where we trust that they can happen so that we can take steps to make gains. So, 3 ways to do this. I want you to consider, I mentioned in the coaching program, health, wealth. And when I talk about wealth, I'm using career, okay? Because career is ultimately where we're getting our assets from, right? Our monetary assets and relationships. So when we look at that, I'm going to talk about one way in each of these areas where taking ease can allow you to make gains. So when we talk about health, I want you to imagine yourself actually doing exercise and movement and eating with ease, not with restriction, not with obligation, not with punitive whatever energy, not with regret, but with ease. And I think one thing when you are looking at your health, and we will be teaching this in the coaching program, is creating sustainable habits. That is the first place your brain should be. What am I going to do over and over and over again? What am I willing to do over and over and over again with no finish line? Not this, I'm not going to eat this for a month and then I'm going to go back and eat it, because now that's what's the point, right? But what is that thing that's going to contribute to my health in a meaningful and valuable way that I can do over and over and over again? Because that in itself is going to give you ease. You're not going to do something over and over again that's hard, 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 hard all the time. You're going to regress and have a lot of up and down. If you are picking things that are sustainable, there's a certain ease with that. That's why it's sustainable. So, sustainable habits when it comes to your health is one way to take ease and ultimately have gains. When we're looking at career, this is going to sound revolutionary. This is going to sound like, what? Who that? What? Career breaks, work breaks, sabbaticals. Yep, time off. And if you are not as in a privileged space where you can do that, then creating a lifestyle out of work that gives you rest. That when you do get home, when you do have that time off, in a way, we are not numbing ourselves with news and media and TikTok and these other things, that we're taking an actual break. Because that way, again, we're taking some ease, and ultimately that break is going to pay off in many, many ways. But to the point of career breaks, because I know many of us over 40 are probably in a very interesting space in terms of career. Some are probably in the height of their career, may not really see much more where they can go in their particular maybe institution. Some of you may actually have had recent layoffs due to a variety of things. Some of you may have decided to resign because it was just too stressful. Some of you are wanting to take leaps and get more into entrepreneurial spaces. Whatever the case may be, when it comes to career, I encourage you at this point of our life, after 40, it is critical. It is critical to our physical and mental health that we create a career that has ease. And typically, if you have a career that does involve, it can have stressful moments, to avoid the burnout, to avoid the irritability and the altogether just, I'm done with it, and even physical health problems and mental health problems. We must start to build our careers in ways that give us breaks. Most of us have some level of PTO, paid time off, incorporated. We have to begin to learn how to utilize it, not just on yearly spaces where we take a week each year, or we take that same 2 weeks or that same Christmas, but how can we spread that up spread that apart throughout the year so that you are consistently every month or even every week to a certain degree having rest. And looking at that from also an annual place that's not just about vacations. So that's a big part of the Take Ease coaching program. If I would definitely say if you are a Black woman over 40 or you know someone, let's say you are not in that demographic. I know the program is specifically for that demographic this round. If you know someone, please share this podcast episode with them who you know they need a break with their career. They've got to do something different, or they're in between careers. They're not working right now and feeling a bit lost with where to go. I know that a coaching program may not be something that financially, but I have other services that are not necessarily in that can still help. We even now have free trials, which we talked about in the intro. If you're listening to the audio, if you're on the YouTube part, you didn't get the intro. You got to go to the audio. But we have to start learning how sabbaticals can be normalized, how career breaks can be normalized, and not this, oh, you did what? But no, this is what I do. This is how I'm able to stay. And then also crafting our position. There's a term called job crafting now. There's some controversy here and there with that term, but crafting our careers in a way that if we're building a business, we're building it in a way that is sustainable and that is with ease, not with hustle, grind. I'm killing myself trying to get it done. Okay. And then lastly, the third way to take ease and make gains, thinking about relationships. Woo wee woo. First, before I tell you this way or this technique or this thing, understand that relationships are fully here and in our human journey to teach us, to help us to heal, to help us to evolve. They are not to destroy us. They are not to make us crazy. They are to teach us lessons. And so if we avoid them, we are not getting the lessons we need. If we get too involved in them in a way that overexerts ourselves and neglects ourselves or minimizes ourselves, we're still not getting the lesson. So the most profound thing to do in any relationship, and I know you've heard this before, is boundaries. Boundaries. We naturally create boundaries in our life. You are already doing it, whether you know it or not. The question becomes is the boundary that you have either unintentionally made or intentionally made, is it serving you? And is the boundary too far off from where you really need the line to be in order for you to actually experience some level of ease and comfort and lesson? And boundaries, I think, again, most people listening to this podcast, and if you're not, pay attention to this, understand that we need a level of boundaries in our life, particularly as it relates to relationships. But the always common thing is how? How do I tell my mama I can't call her? How do I tell my partner that I need more time alone, and that it's not because I'm trying to be secretive, it's not because I don't care about them, but in fact, I'm missing myself? How do I tell my children that are, every day, whether they are in college or they're high school or whatever age, how do I make sure that they feel the love, know that I am always there for them and connected to them without completely depleting myself? How do I do that? And there are ways to do that. We just don't create spaces to work that through. We don't create spaces, and we haven't valued that as a society where we have, I think, enough practitioners to really get in spaces for people to practice this and process it. So that's much of why I do the work that I do. These are things that I've always been very drawn to. These are parts of my personal life I've been drawn to, and I've had the most beautiful opportunity to also learn it on a more scholarly level and then a practical level. So boundaries are huge. It's the how. And so I'm not going to do a whole podcast right now on the how, but in the coaching program, absolutely. We have to have boundaries in order. And we're already, like I said, doing boundaries, but we have to have boundaries that serve us and that really allow us to be in our best energy so that we can make gains in the relationship. If we're seeking relationship, if we're maybe not in partnership and we're wanting romantic relationship, how do we then, what does boundaries mean there? Well, there's some boundaries that we have to think about as we are meeting people. A lot of times we become too restrictive and the boundary is too tight, and we're not allowing people in our lives in a way where they would be able to get to know us and be able to show our vulnerabilities in a way. So there's a lot with that, and I'm very passionate about relationships because for me personally and astrologically, relationships for me have always been a zone of healing, a very massive zone of healing. And it is a zone of healing for everyone. It's just in some people's lives, it's more of a zone. I'm on the more of a zone. So whether it be that it's more health that is your area that you need more of the breakthroughs or transformation, or it's more career where you're feeling more of the stagnation or needing more of the support, or the relationships. I hope that you consider sustainable habits. I hope that you consider breaks, rest, sessions that you actually intentionally plan on a regular. You have those breaks that are every year, you have another set of breaks that are every month, you have another set of breaks that are every week, and you have another type of break that's every day. Yep. And then boundaries. And if all of this sounds special, but you have no idea how to even really begin that, or you've started to do those things, but you're having issue sustaining it or creating longevity, and you are a Black woman or a woman of African descent who's over 40, I highly recommend that you consider our Take Ease coaching program, because that's the whole point, to help teach you that and also help you actually come up with developing that in your lifestyle. And if you are not, if you do not meet those demographics, but you still want that in your life, I do coaching outside of that. And we absolutely can focus on that if you are outside of that demographic. If you feel like you're in a good space with all of that and you're working with someone, or you've been working or what have you, pass this episode along to someone who you think would benefit from hearing this. Okay. So yeah, take ease and make gains. Again, if you want to learn more about the program, if you're watching on YouTube, you see the scroller, patreon.com, finding your voice, /finding your voice. This is also in the show notes. If you just want to sit down and I just want to talk about it, look in the show notes. We have a link to book free consultations. If you know you absolutely want to do this, though, this program, and you want to get that absolute discount, then email info@findingyourvoiceafter40.com. Okay, I hope that this has served you and that you start to be really reflective on this whole idea of taking ease so that you can actually make gains in your life, particularly after the age of 40, where we're stepping even more into the fullness of our lives. I bring guests in here pretty much weekly that are showing you all the new things that they're doing after 40. And each one of them have discussed about the self-care that they needed to do in order to even do these things. So I encourage you to continue your journey of self-care, and consider taking ease while doing so. All right, you guys take care, and we'll be back next week.